Well, this is Tom for another Under the Hood look at the upcoming debate scoring program module that we're working on. Had some very nice luck, not completely done, but we're getting closer. I want to show you what we've got. Here we have this is a program that I have developed just to make it a little easier to implement changes and new forms. Basically, let me load in an answer sheet, and I have a bunch of them, good ones, bad ones, large, small, various types of answer sheets. Here I've loaded in one that has some nice tilt to it. What we're doing here is we're locating, given a black rectangle and given this big long bar across the top, the bar acts as my ruler. That's my measuring stick. Every measurement on the page is given in terms of the distance across the top of the page. So if you're making changes, please don't change the length of the bar across the page unless everything else is changed with it. All right. Next, we find a bar. We find a chunk of black on the page, and then we use that and using this ruler up here. We measure over and down using the row and column dimensions that are in this table. And you'll notice these numbers in the table kind of random, and that's because the different parts of the page, some of the parts of the page are very similar. Some of the spacings of the different circles are just about the same on different tables, the six in the middle. Some of them are actually not the same. They have to be adjusted carefully, and so some of these things here have some very small numbers. I've been playing around with this to adjust it. So now this is basically, there's 8 different, what should we call it, 8 different types of tables up here. There's 12 tables. Actually, if you count the showcase and the best on the team separately, that's 13, and then the round is like 14. I forget, there's a whole bunch of different kinds of tables up here. And I guess I categorize that as 8 different kinds of tables, all told. And these are the measurements that will allow me to locate the exact location of a specified oval on the page. Alright, so now what we've been doing here, and actually let me load in a different one here. I want to demonstrate what we did here. I want to load in 100 dots per inch one and turn on the visibility of the background area and go ahead and run this thing. What I'm going to do here is to find this bar, find all of these bars, and then locate a specified circle in here. I'm going to just print one of a 3-digit number here for the team number, and the printing is how I calibrate the locations of the different circles. And the last step I have to do when I'm done with getting everything calibrating is to write the routine that looks at the pixels of the completed forms and reads them in. So I haven't even started on that yet. I've been developing this system to allow me to get it all in here. So, okay, let's run it. Alright, 2.5 seconds. I cheated. That was a 100 dots per inch page, which are actually fairly fast and easy to read. Now if you can see closely on here, if I move it to a different size here, you can kind of see this. I've got a probe here that walks across the page looking for 5 adjacent black dots, and when it finds one, it then tries to expand into one of the black areas, and you'll see there's a little probe here and a probe here looking for black areas, and as you go down the page you see all the different black areas that are there. Sometimes we miss on the first try. We're using kind of an automatic system of just going down the page and finding the different areas, and it's pretty fast, so we don't have to be too careful with it. We can find all the 12 areas that are on the page, and you can kind of see then once I have those areas, then I can measure over into the space beside them and either draw red things like I did over here, or I can look and see how many pixels are colored in on the completed forms. It's the same problem of location. Okay, so there's that, and now if we look at this one, we zoom in on this one, you can see that Let me see if I can see a little more of it. You can see the circles behind, although this is a form that does not have darkened circles. You can pretty easily see this one is on the 5, there's the 7, so this is right on the 6, 3, 4. This one is on 5, 0, 8. Then down here we have the ask the speaker for their ID letter, and here's the ABC, and so forth. And so then I'm printing the data that later on it would look like when they fill it in at the competition. Okay, so that's where we're at here. A couple of other little things. I've been playing around with, instead of calculating a slope for everything like I used to do, that was just leaving the form the way it is. I've been working with a routine that will take a badly tilted form here. And if you just watch this get started, when I hit the button, watch what happens. Before I even try to scan it, it just straightens it out. So I've been working on some new routines that do that very quickly. And then when we want to save it, we'll flip it over here to a bitonal, which is pure black and white and very small. And I don't know if it did that or not. We'll have to see later. But anyway, oh, there it goes. It was doing something else. It was in the middle of something else. There we go. So this is just a bitonal, and you can still see the details, and you can save your answer sheets, and this can still be read, but it stores in about 60 kilobytes instead of 2.5 or 3 megabytes. And this way you can keep all of your score sheets for future reference. If you'd ever need to look back at something, it's there, and that's always a plus. Okay, all I have left to do then is go through and write the routines that counts the pixels inside the circles, and have that so it'll import to the program. And the speed I've gotten, when I turn off the visibility, even the biggest form, this is one of my biggest forms here, and let's go ahead and process this with my drawing circles on it. And if you look up here, you see the elapsed time. We'll go ahead and do my biggest form without the visibility of the routine on, and it does that in 3.5 seconds. So we won't have any problem with time, even at the biggest meets. That's going to mean you can process all of the answer sheets within 30 minutes or less easily. So that's a pretty fast routine, and it'll be about that same speed for working when they actually have data on them, because the routines I have to add here don't add any significant time. Once I have the form sketched out and measured out with by scanning in, looking for the black areas, we're good to go. So I've gone back, at least for the purposes of this, I went back to one of the slightly earlier forms. I mentioned I didn't need the bar at the bottom, and I didn't need the round, and I can make my adjustments here. If your form is close to this, you'll be good. One thing I did want to point out, and that is that just a comment about the form. Let me see if I can find my place here. I want to pull up a form and ask a question and see if you want to do anything about it. Maybe you've already thought about it. But on this, let me pull up the one I have here. Okay, pulling that up in Word. Okay, so this is the one I've been working with. I'll send this exact form along with it, and you can make some adjustments. Let me get it on the screen for you. Okay, this is the one I've been working with, and if this looks slightly familiar, we went through this as a slightly earlier version. I did go in. It's interesting that the area in this where this little piece of text is written, ask speaker for his or ID is ABC, that's actually a little different size than the one on this side, although the ABCs are spaced the same. I think you did that to squeeze in your arrows there. We got to make sure that the two tables to the right of that are identical, and they actually weren't. I went in and adjusted this one so that they were the same on the left and the right. And here's the one I was wondering about. Right now I have this ABC in here as a graphic, and the spacing on that is decent. Down here we had the best affirmative speaker, and I think those should probably be an ABC. And this is a graphic. You could probably copy this and paste it right in here if you wanted to. And then I could even make a graphic that has a plus out here to the right of it. And maybe I'll just do that and send it along, and you can splice it in there for that. The speakers are labeled as A, B, or C, and here we have them as 1, 2, 3, and that's one thing I'm sure you probably did want to have in there. Maybe you just forgot to go back and fix it. I don't know. Anyway, so there we have the form, and the spacings on these are pretty good. It's picking up the round at the top, and it's able to see everything on here. The darkness, we might be able to go darker, but I'd like to run some more testing on that. See how big it is, big a problem it is when somebody fills in a form fairly light. Because inside each of these circles we already have a number, and that if that's all black, you've got the circle about 1/4 or 1/5 filled out just by having the number in the center. And that because the numbers of dots in each of the different digits, the 1 has fewer dots, for example, than the 8, clearly. And so if I had to guess, you might find that the 8 is marked as the correct answer, or the one that's been chosen here. Because there's more dots inside. Even if they leave it blank, it may come out that the 8 is marked as the answer that they've chosen, even if they forget it. So that's not something we really want to run into. I'll try and control for that. There may be a way to do that so I can literally subtract out the number of characters in each circle, but that would mean we'd have to run some blank ones through before we start. And that's doable, I suppose. You could run in and subtract out the number of dots that would normally be in there for each one. Okay. So anyway, that's where we're at. And other than if we wanted to use this form, I think this form looks pretty good. We could actually you could maybe you have this step 1, and it's a fairly big step, and you've got it delineated with this line right here. I think you could probably put a table, extend this table down and put a dotted line around the whole thing so that step 1 looks like a big, has some unity to it all the way across the page. That might be another nice change. And so I'll stop now, and you can give me your feedback. I think this is going to work really, really well. I've got these routines working up, and actually they may make some of my other routines faster on the other stuff, and then we got to do a lot of testing yet. So we're working on that, and I've spent another 3 days on it since I talked to you last, or whatever, something like that. And we'll talk to you later. Bye.